Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. It's the week of Easter, so happy Easter to you all. For those of you who are actually believers, I don't know that Easter is really what we celebrate. Actually, I know that's not what we celebrate. It's actually the rising of Jesus Christ, right? Who died on the cross so that all who believe in him will be saved and not perish, right? That's essentially that verse everyone's memorized, John 3:16, right? And so we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus and him conquering death, right? So those of you that don't believe, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But I do believe that Jesus died and he rose again, and that he is alive, and that one day he will come back to this earth. That's what my Bible says, and I believe that. So moving on, for those of you that are celebrating, again, happy Easter. Don't mean to get sidetracked with that, but again, the only reason I mentioned that is just because, Easter, if you really do your research into it, Easter is definitely not a truly Christian holiday or a holiday from the Bible. But there's a lot of people that are believers that use that holiday to recognize that Jesus died on the cross and he rose again, right? And so Easter is just when they choose to celebrate that. But the true Easter is actually a pagan thing. And not to turn this into a religious philosophy video, because it's certainly not. But again, like I said, Easter is just not a truly Christian holiday when you really get down to the roots of it, right? Even though that's what we use to celebrate. So anyways, with that, the point of today's video is actually going to be talking about goals again, right? So we started off the first video of this year talking about how to accomplish your goals, and what better time than the end of the first quarter, come this Monday, so 2 days from now, will be April 1st. Will be the end of the first quarter of 2024. So what's done is done, and what hasn't been done will not be will not be done, right? It is what it is, as they say. But as my coach, my old coach Mike Ferry would say, success is not permanent and failure is not fatal. So if you achieve your goals, or you're on pace and on track to achieve your goals for 2024, congratulations. Way to start the year off on track, on time, on track, on target. And if you are a little bit behind or you haven't got started, well, there's still 3 more quarters left. So there's a lot that can be done in 9 months. And if you don't believe that, then ask any submariner that's been on deployment for 6 or 7 months, and they will tell you a lot can get done in 6, 7 months for sure. So I'm not sure what we're going to title today's video just yet, but I'm thinking, why I'm considering why adults should have report cards as one of the titles, right? The other one was where are you? Where are you on track to hit your goals, or where are you with your goals, right? Because if you're like most people, you do set New Year's resolutions, right? And some people don't, because they go, by the 15th, nobody's on case, maybe. But typically, the turn of a new year or a birthday is usually a time where people will reflect. And it's good to reflect and say, hey, I think this next 365 days or the next few months or whatever, I want to do A, B, C, D, and et cetera, and so forth and so forth. And so it's just one of those things that people do, as far as setting goals, first of the year or birthdays, that's when it usually happens. So now, why adults should have report cards. So let's jump right into today's discussion, if you will. It's not going to be as long as a normal video because it is a holiday weekend, and well, I want to enjoy the holiday as well. But I love sharing with you all, and looking forward to hearing your feedback. So you start school. Most of us start kindergarten, pre-K, whatever, and then ideally and normally and typically, it takes about 1 year to graduate to the next grade, right? So for most of us, K through 12 means you start off in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, so on and so forth, through 11th, 12th grade, and then you graduate high school, and then some go on to college, some go on to the military, some don't do anything beyond that, right? But the typical course in America, most of us recognize, is that you go through first grade through 12th grade. And typically there's about a year spent in each grade. That's very common. And we know that sometimes people don't get it the first time around, so sometimes they might have to redo a grade, right? They might have to retake third grade or redo fifth grade or redo the sixth grade, right? Or even, I think I've seen guys as far as high school, believe it or not, that didn't have enough credits to graduate, so they was back on campus following fall when their friends and their classmates graduated in the spring, and you're like, bro, what you doing on campus? I thought you graduated. Nah, I didn't have enough credits. What? So anyways, most of us, it takes about a year, right? Now with that, I don't know what they do now, but normally, I assume it's still some sort of grading system. They have what's called report cards, right? So when I was a kid, it was every 9 weeks, right? I think there was 181 days in the school year, and every 9 weeks you got a report card, right? And it was based on letters, right? So A was the best you could do, and then B was a little less, C was average, D was like, oh my gosh, when you get your act together, then F was just straight up failing, right? You're not even trying, right? But the purpose of that was to let you and your parents and the teacher know where you stood, and it was a measuring stick for if you're on track to pass the class, and what grade you would have in passing the class, right? So most schools, a C would be a passing letter grade, and or if it was an older number, it would be like, if you had 80 and above out of 100 based on homework assignments and quizzes and tests and exams, then that accumulated would equal a numerical grade, and that would correlate to a alphabet grade, right? So in every 9 weeks they would have that, and usually they would have interim report cards also. So halfway in between that 9 weeks, they'd give you an interim report card to say, hey, look, Timmy, Isaac, Johnny, Sally, you're at a B, keep it up. You're going to have a B for this class. Great. See if you can turn it to A. Or, hey, you're right at a D, but if you turn in this missing assignment, et cetera, you'll turn to a C. Now, stick with me now. It's not all about just class, but I'm making a point here. But the point was that they regularly gave you check marks along the way so that you could adjust and adapt your behavior to make sure that if you wanted to follow the normal course, which was pass the class, number one, 2, then to get the best grade possible passing the class, and 3, to make sure you're on target to graduate or be promoted to the next grade, you need to have a certain letter grade, and you need to be doing a certain amount of work and a certain amount of participation to get there, right? And so that's normal. We don't think anything of it, and it's for everyone. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that, I think Jim Rohn says, well, what if a kid is really nice? How long do we want them to stay in the third grade? You say about 1 year. You say, well, what if they're tall? What if they're black? What if they're white? What if it's a female? What if it's a male? What if they don't know? How long do we want them to stay in the fourth grade? In approximately 1 year, right? So all these reasons that adults give as to why they aren't more successful, we do not allow that for kids. So, for example, let's say kids in the third grade, if they say, well, it's because I'm a girl, that's why it took me 2 years to pass the third grade, we'd be like, no, you failed to adapt. Maybe you might be a little bit slow in learning. or maybe you're not, maybe you're not seeking tutoring to get help to understand the material. So therefore, that's why you failed, right? Because all the other kids, they passed, right? Or we go, hey, it's because I'm tall. I'm 6 foot in the 3rd grade, and so therefore that's why I can't. That's why it took me 3 tries, and I spent 3 years in 3rd grade. We go, no, something's wrong. No, regardless of that, it shouldn't take you 3 years to pass the 3rd grade, right? And so for most people, that is a very acceptable and reasonable response to say, hey, no, barring some type of mental retardation, I know whatever the words are now because everybody's super sensitive, but we used to call it mentally retarded or some type of learning illness, disability, some type of, brain malfunction, inability to learn. Outside of that, a normal, healthy child, it should take that child, boy or girl, no matter where they're from, about a year to pass this curriculum to go to the 4th or 5th or 6th grade, right? And that's pretty standard. Well, what happens in life is that all of a sudden you hit 12th grade, you graduate high school, and then there's no more report cards. Let me bring that in so you can see. There's no more report cards. There's no more standard of time, right? There's no segments of time anymore, really, where you're doing a hard check on how you're performing in life, right? And let me be clear, I'm not saying this regarding, you should be married or you should be have a 6-pack abs, or I don't know, you should have kids by this age, nothing like that. But what I am saying is that there should be a progression or a improvement of you as you get older. There should be a certain level of maturity that you reach. And how do we measure maturity? I'm not sure, to be honest. But there should be a certain level of responsibility, right? Perhaps you move out on your own, out of your mom's house or father's house or your parents' house or your grandmother's house, right? And maybe you start off with roommates, or maybe you move into a college dormitory. And then from there, you get your own apartment, or maybe you get your own house, or maybe you get married and you and your husband or wife buy a house together. Or, and before that, probably you purchase a vehicle, right? You probably have a vehicle before you get a house, right? Maybe a cell phone in your name, right? So these are little check marks along the way, bills that the normal person that I would say would want to live life, they're going to have some of these things and some of these responsibilities, right? And so when I'm suggesting here an adult report card, I'm saying based on you and your goals for your life, right? So the great Holton Buggs, I remember he had an audio way back in 2004. It's called The Cash Cow. You can look it up on YouTube. Still available for free. I think it's a great audio to listen to. It is network marketing. So a couple of CDs aren't applicable, but the first one is called Eat the Crust First by him and his wife, Earlene Buggs. That's a great audio. And then CD1, the first CD that he talks on there on The Cash Cow. I forget the name of that first CD, but that first CD, he talks about, what you picture versus what you want, right? And he challenges the audience, right? And he has them raise their hands, right? Because he's speaking in a group of people. And he's asking them, he's saying, how many of y'all wanted to earn $100,000 last year? And the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. And how many of you want to be retired? How many of you want to be fit and in shape, right? And obviously people raise their hands because they've been wanting those things for more than a couple of years. And so if you were, I guess you could say, if those people were to give themselves a report card, they would be failing. It would be straight Fs, right? And so what do we do with the child that's getting straight Fs? We jump on that child, right? We go, hey, young man, young woman, you're not meeting the standard. You're not doing your homework, or you're not paying attention in class, right? Or if you don't understand, you need to be asking for help. Maybe we need to get you a tutor, or maybe you need to spend time with your teacher after class to get extra help on this assignment, right? Or maybe you need to start on your assignments earlier so you can get them done on time, so you're not missing whatever it is, right? But we go, hey, this is unacceptable. We need to ramp up the effort, or we need to correct a behavior so that this F can change to a D or a C or a B or A, right? But as adults, it's okay, right? So I'll give you an example. How many of you know someone that for, let's say, more than a year, because that's what we get for kids, right? To make a change. So we'll say for more than a year have been overweight, and not only have they been overweight, fat, but they have complained about being fat and overweight, meaning they're not happily fat, they're not happily overweight, but they're saying, you know what, I need to lose some weight, or you know what, I'm too big, I got this big old, I got this big old belly that I need to lose. And it's been over a year since they've been talking like this. How many of you know someone like that? Maybe it's you, right? How many people you know that financially they're struggling? They live check to check, or they don't have money, or they always got to borrow money, or there's never enough money to live how they want to live, and they're always hustling and working job to job. And you're like, hey, you've been doing this for more than a year now, jumping from job to job, hustling. You still don't have no money saved up. You still don't have any money put away, but you've been hustling, or claiming that you've been hustling for a year. How many of you know people like that? Right? Or how many people you know that's been saying, hey, I want to be in a relationship, I want to be married, etc., and it's been over a year, and you go like, you don't even have a person of interest, or you don't really have anyone that you're seriously considering or that you're looking at. It's like, well, okay, what actions are we taking, right? And you can go down the list of everything, right? But the point is, we as adults, we have goals, we have hopes, we have dreams. But we never really, and myself included, I'm guilty of this sometimes myself, is that we don't put timelines on accomplishing the goals or the things that we say we want. We just say someday or one day. But we never say by July 1st, 2024, I'm going to whatever it is that your goal is, right? So guys, for me, obviously I'm not sharing all my life goals on this channel, but the one that I have said publicly for this specific channel was I was going to make a video every single week or post a video every single week. I did not put the parameters of how long it would be. I never put parameters on the content of it because I wanted to keep it very simple and something that I know I could do, which was, hey, I'm going to post a video every single week. And I've been playing around behind the scenes, experimenting with it, but it's the end of the first quarter and I have not missed a single week. You can go back every single week and you can see that a video was posted. Now, a couple times, twice, and the only thing I could have done was started the upload of the videos sooner, but I started the uploads on the videos on the Sunday, but because I didn't have internet connection where I was, the phone internet connection was the only one that I had available at the time. That upload took over 24 hours. So I think twice you'll see an upload actually come on a Monday, not because I didn't, start the upload the day before to have it out by that Sunday, but it literally took over 24 to 30 hours for the video to upload, believe it or not. Because again, I was just using my phone data instead of the internet because of where I was located, and that's just how the cookie crumbled. But I did post the video, But so far I'm on track. Now, moving forward, I still have the same goal for the year. So I'm not changing that, but I'm also, what that's doing for me is it's causing me to experiment really experiment with ways of creating videos. One, having something to say every week, right? Learning how to develop that skill. Two, the consistency of it and whether I want to do one video a week or whether I want to perhaps take one day every month and just boom, knock out 4 or 5 videos and then have that post every single week, right? So there's different things I'm trying behind the scenes to really see what works best for me. But the goal is there and I'm still on track with the goal, right? So now it's in the first quarter. How about you? What did you say you wanted to do at the beginning of the year in January? Are you on track? Are you on pace? And within a report card, you should have something written down, right? So maybe it's an income goal, maybe it's a weight loss goal, maybe it's a work goal, maybe writing a book, whatever it is, but you should have steps just like a report card where you go, hey, within 3 months, that's a reasonable amount of time for smaller goals at least, right? To say, hey, there's some check marks that could be done, right? So the end of the first quarter is a great time to check in and say, hey, am I on pace for the year, right? And with that report card, right, you can have something written down saying, hey, I said I was going to, for me, it would be like post a video every single week. And maybe I might give myself a 90 on that because 2 times the videos were posted on a Monday instead of the Sunday. So we missed that Sunday, right? And I can go back and say, hey, okay, maybe I need to upload my videos by Friday or Saturday or by Thursday just to make sure in case that way we don't miss that Sunday mark. It has to be out on a Monday, right? That's something I can improve upon, right? But that's a report card saying, hey, here's the expectation. Here's what you actually did, right? Here was reality. Here's where we thought you would be, or here's quote unquote perfection, or here's the goal. We're either here, or right there at the goal. Or maybe you're on pace to exceed the goal, right? Because depending on what your goals are, you could even exceed the goal, right? Or your expectation, if you will. But it's so vitally important to me that when you're making goals, and let's just use my thing where I went, okay, I want to post 1 video every single week for the whole year. I think it's very crucial for you to go back at this quarter and go, okay, did I accomplish that? Yay or nay? On the report card. Next, again, we evaluate. Okay, so if I missed 2 Sundays, a video came out Monday, why was that? What can I do moving forward this next quarter to ensure that doesn't happen, right? Am I using the best strategy for posting a video every single week, right? And again, you can ask these questions. It doesn't have to be about exactly what I'm talking about, but for your goals, right? The weight loss, are you walking every day? Are you cutting out the sugars? Are you drinking more water? Whatever it is, right? That you are setting checkpoints along the way to your destination. Let's say your destination or the finish line is achieving your goal, where you're setting check marks and checkpoints along the way to say, hey, let me check to see how I'm progressing, if I'm on pace to achieve what it is that I want to achieve. And the reason why I think this adult report card is so important is because without that report card, one, you don't really know where you are. You're either just kind of guessing like, yeah, I think I'm on track or I'm not, but you're kind of guessing. You don't know for sure. And 2, you don't really have anything tangible that someone can hold you accountable to, right? So I'll give you an example. So say a parent has a conversation with a kid. They go, how are you doing in math class? You go, I'm doing good. Yeah, I turned on my assignments, yada, yada, yada. I only have 1 bad quiz, but the rest of them I did good, so that should offset it, right? But and the parent goes, okay, great, And then the report card comes out and they're like, what? You got a C- in math. You're barely passing. What happened? But then you look at the exams and you go, no, actually you missed this exam, or you did bad on this one, that one, this homework assignment, you didn't get the best grade, this, and then all of a sudden the truth comes out when you actually see the paper, right? And so same thing with us as adults, right? In our mind, time can pass so quickly, right? And we didn't get anything accomplished per se. But when you put it on paper, now you got to look at it. And you got to go, wow, I said this, and now it's, March 1st, April 1st, is now July 1st, right? Or September 1st, or October 1st. And I thought I would be here, or I thought I would be there, and I'm not. Man, I got to make some changes, right? But without that report card, without that physical accountability, then it's easy to just let the time pass and go, I had insert whatever excuse. Sometimes it might be legit, sometimes it might not be, but at the end of the day, it's still an excuse because you said you wanted to accomplish this goal, but you didn't say, well, I would like to be rich only if it doesn't interfere with blah. Or you didn't say, hey, I want to be fit and in shape only if, everything goes smooth and life is great and I have no challenges. And that's not what you said. You said, I want to be fit, period, regardless of what happens. Right? So that report card, I think an adult report card is so important. And how do you do this, right? Well, I'll tell you how you do it. You start off with the goals that you have. You set tangible tasks, right, that you can achieve. Measurable tasks, right? So not necessarily the result, right? Because maybe the result is, let's say weight loss. Your result is, I want to lose 100 pounds. Well, that 100 pounds may not come off, perfectly. Like you may not lose 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds. It might be 10 pounds, 1 pound, 3 pounds, 7 pounds, 8 pounds. You gain another 5 pounds. You gain 10 pounds. Like, oh my God. Then you go back down 15, right? So it might fluctuate, but eventually the end, you'll reach that, I'm down 100 pounds, right? So that may not be the best to measure, but you measure, hey, every month I'm going to walk 1 mile a day, let's say 20 days out the month or something, right? So 20 days out the month, I'm going to walk 1 mile. And then you can track that, right? And then you can say, okay, I did that for 3 months or for the quarter. Now let me look at the results I've accomplished. Maybe I lost 20 pounds or 10 pounds, whatever. Now I can adjust and adapt and go, okay, I like the progress I'm making. I'm going to continue. Or I don't like the progress I'm making. Let me make some changes or let me ramp up the efforts. Or I go, man, you know what? This is actually, I'm actually exceeding what I thought would happen. I'm going to just keep this up and see where it goes, right? But it gives you a way to measure what you have or have not accomplished, right? So I think that's so important. And I think it's important to do it in the measurable areas of life. And I want to be clear on that because happiness, how do you measure happiness? Is it feeling? Is it, right? It's, how do you feel today versus how you feel in general, right? How do you measure happiness and how do you say you're happier or less happier than someone else, right? Versus on a day-to-day, right? It's kind of hard to measure. But money, finance, that's very black and white, right? You either have 10,000 or 100,000 or $1 million in the bank or you don't, right? You either have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month coming in passively or you don't, right? You either have a business that's producing $1 million a month or $1 million a year in revenue or you don't, right? That's very easy to measure. So finance, I think, is very important. And because it affects so much of our life, I think it's very important to measure finance. The income you want to earn, the amount of money you want in savings, and the amount of money you want to put away to be able to invest, right? Having those numbers and are you on track to fill those buckets up throughout the year to get, so let's say at the end of the year, you say you want to save $100,000. Well, it's the first quarter, you probably should have about 25K put away or 20-ish K put away, or maybe you might be at 30K, but you want to be somewhere around that 20, 25K mark, right? If you're trying to do it evenly throughout the year, then you probably want to be at 25K by the first quarter, right? Another one I would track is weight, right? Now, health is a little bit tougher, right? Because maybe you could do some blood work and the doctor can tell you you're missing this vitamins or you're deficient in this or that, right? And maybe that might also be a great way to measure. But also the scale. Scale doesn't lie, right? Whether it's fat, muscle, or in between, or both, the scale is just going to tell you what your resistance to or what your gravitational pull towards the earth is, right? That's it. Right? The scale doesn't care. Whether it's fat, muscle, what, it's just going to tell you, hey, you weigh 200 pounds. And it's on you to determine whether that's fat or muscle, right? But it's going to let you know you're at 200 pounds or 300 or 400 or whatever it is, right? So if your goal was to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds or 50 pounds, then that's very easy. Or another one could be, maybe you are trying to experiment and play around with muscle between fat and all that. So maybe you can measure your waist instead. So instead of the scale, because you go, hey, yeah, I'm lifting weights, I'm benching 500. So the scale may not, give me all the details I know. Then we can measure your waist, right? We can go, hey, look, let's take a string, boom. You either got a 35-inch waist or a 40-inch waist or a 50-inch waist, or you don't, right? And so whatever that size is, that's very measurable, right? There's no feelings in what your waist size is, right? Now, you might feel a way about it, but the truth is you either have a 32-inch waist or 36-inch waist or 40-inch waist, or you don't, right? So you put the tape measure around and it shows you a number. There's no feelings involved, right? So again, that's another one that I recommend. Those are actually the two big ones. Now, when it comes to spirituality, relationships, I'm not sure that those are easily measured. And I know actually that they aren't, right? Who's to say, hey, man, I'm more righteous than you, or I'm more spiritual than you, or you're not right? So that's a lot more subjectiveness. So with those, I would recommend task, right? So let's say, because I believe in the Bible, so say you say you're a Christian, then maybe it could be something like, I'm going to read the Bible, or I'm going to read one chapter of the Bible every week, right? So that's a little bit easier to measure than to say, well, I'm trying to get closer to God, right? How do you measure how close you are and how far away you are, right? Who's to say, right? Oh, well, I'm 10 feet away from God right now, but I'm trying to get to 7 feet close to God, right? Like it sounds nice, I'm trying to get closer to God, but really, how do you measure that, right? But we can say, hey, you know what? I'm reading one chapter of the Bible every single day or every single week to learn more about what God's word says, which is the Bible, right? So that's another way you can measure spirituality. Or maybe you go, hey, listen, I'm going to pray once a day, or I'm going to pray 3 times a day, and measure that, right? So that could be a little bit easier to measure than just trying to say, well, I'm just trying to get closer to what it is I believe, right? So that's tough. And same thing with marriage and relationships, right? Maybe saying I'm happy or I'm not happy is not really the thing, but the communication. Maybe it's, I'm going to ask my wife or girlfriend once a day, babe, how are you doing? Or maybe once a week, we're going to just turn both our phones off and spend an hour, whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's at the park, or whether it's literally in the house, in the bedroom, just in isolation, saying, hey, how are you doing? What can I do better? And vice versa. Right? Maybe that might be something that you can measure versus just trying to say, I'm trying to make my relationship better, or I'm just trying to make my marriage better. It's like, well, what does that mean? Right? Is it more sex? Is it more talk time? Is it more cuddling, right? Is it more activities together, right? So it's turning it into measurable steps or actionable steps. That would be better to measure than just, we're happier. We feel we love each other more, right? So again, the report card, you want to make it something that's trackable, measurable, that you can look at and adjust and adapt. Now, here's something I'm going to tell you. The most successful people in the world that I know, they all track these things to an extent, right? So businesses, they give out quarterly reports, monthly reports, earnings reports every single quarter. And the stock market goes up, it goes down, but it responds to based on the earnings. And we thought we were going to earn 10 million, but we only made 8 billion. The stock goes down. Or hey, we said we were going to earn 8 billion, but we actually earned 10 billion because we did buy, and the stock shoots up, right? So even businesses, they have to give out reports every single quarter of earnings and what they earned and what they thought they were earning, what they were projected, right? CEOs, when it comes to selling stocks or buying stocks or things like that, there is a certain path or projection that happens that, hey, as long as they're following that, nobody's concerned. But if they get off that pace or they get off that course, then that's when people raise an eyebrow, because you said you're going to buy, a certain amount of stock, or you're going to sell a certain amount of stock this month, that month, regardless of whether the stock went up, down, or in between, because this was a part of your financial plan. So if you're on that financial plan, you're executing the way you said you would, we're not worried about what's happening with the company. But if all of a sudden it changes, now we got to ask questions, right? So again, even businesses, they have to report and give that report card. Athletes, right? Athletes, we love watching sports, right? Especially here in America. But what do? Every single week there's a game, right? And we watch the game and we go, either you win or you lost. And then over the course of the season, we start tracking each individual athlete's performance, right? How many shots did you make? How many missed shots did you have? How many blocks did you have? Or if it's football, how many tackles did you have? How many receptions did you have? How many passes, interceptions, etc. But the thing is, we look at the athlete and we track their individual performance throughout the season. And we go, is this athlete good or not? But why don't we as adults do that more with ourselves, as far as what we have going on towards our goals, right? So that is why it's so important. It's like you gotta start tracking and giving yourself a report card, and maybe review it with someone else if you want to operate at a higher level in life, in all areas, not just in finance, but in your health, in your marriage, in your relationships, people. You need to start having a report card so you can look back and go, hey, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what I've done. I need to adjust, or I'm on pace, I'm on track, I'm on target. So I think you guys kind of get the point. I'm not gonna, like I say, go on and belittle the point, I guess you could say, or belabor the point is when people say it. But I think you all get it. It's just vital to check in and really give yourself that report card and have some accountability with it. Maybe give it to someone that you trust, or someone that you know that is on a similar path. And it doesn't have to always necessarily be someone that's close to you, right? It could just be a fellow colleague or a friend or even just associate. And they don't have to know everything about you. It could just literally be like your personal trainer. Let's just say fitness. It doesn't have to be your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother, right? It can literally just be someone else at your gym that comes on a regular basis. You go, hey man, I see you here on a regular. You plan to be here for a while? Yeah, me too. You know what? Hey, let's hold each other accountable, man. I'm here 3 weeks, 3 times a week. I'm just sending you a text. Hey man, and every quarter I'm gonna give you a report card just to see, man, let you know how I'm doing. And you want to do this thing, okay, yeah, I'll do the same for you. I'll ask you questions. I'll call you out if you're not really doing what you're supposed to be doing. And at the end of the quarter, I can say, hey man, looks like you miss one workout every single week. What's up? Well, or whatever, right? And then you can go, yeah, Fridays I'd rather not work out after work. Or they go, okay, well, why don't we adjust the schedule, right? But you have someone else aside from yourself that's holding you accountable, that can actually look at what you said you were going to do or what you are supposed to be doing in order to achieve your goal. And then that can also make it it adds a little more fuel to the fire, or I guess could say it adds a little more pressure for you to accomplish what you said you're going to do now that you got somebody else looking at your progress, right? But again, just really want to hone in on why I believe having an adult report card is so important, but it's only something that you can do. You have to implement, because again, like you said, when you graduate high school, no one's keeping track anymore, right? You just get a year older, and whether you're smarter, wiser, more mature, more handsome, uglier, fatter, have less money in the bank, more money in the bank, nobody really cares but you for the most part, and whoever benefits from you having more money or less money, right? Or whoever benefits from you being alive longer versus not being alive, right? Or whoever loves you that much that they care, right? But it's very few people that really are keeping tabs, right? So you totally have the option to live 1 year repeatedly 20, 30, 40 times, 50 times, and then die. Or you also have the option to each year try to make the next year better, or this year better than the previous year, and stack on that. And then each year you live in something new, you're accomplishing something new, and you have a more abundant experience in life for whatever that life is, however long it is, so that, instead of 10 years from now, you're still talking about the same thing, you still have the same challenges. 10 years from now, you're in a whole other world you could have never imagined. And you look back and you go, wow, I never thought I'd be doing this. So man, I never imagined I could accomplish this. Man, who would have thunk it? And it all started with me just tracking my goals, giving myself report cards, sharing it with people that, were like-minded like myself, holding myself accountable, holding each other accountable. Now all of a sudden, I'm in a whole nother stratosphere that I could never even imagine participating in, just because I decided to have a report card for myself. Just because I decided to set some goals and hold myself accountable and allow other people to hold me accountable towards it. You'll be shocked at the changes that will happen, right? So, all right, guys, that's going to conclude today's video. I want to thank you all for surviving, if you will, the first quarter. First 12 videos is exciting. Obviously, it's only going to get better from here. I really do intend to be on this channel long term. I'm building a brand. We'll be speaking publicly soon. And when I say public, I mean, getting paid to speak, right? I'm in training for that. And I just want to help you all and ideally meet some of you all. Maybe I already know some of you. I haven't looked too deep into my subscribers, right? So I don't know necessarily who my subscribers are or aren't, but I imagine I probably know a few of you I don't. But this is also because I want to see you all do well. So whenever I meet you, maybe I never meet you, but if I do get to meet y'all, I want to hear, hey man, you gave me this idea, you gave me this thought, you gave me this strategy, and I implemented it, and here's my results, here's what happened, things changed for me, right? The late great Jim Rohn, that was his desire, right? And I've never met Jim Rohn, but I've listened to dozens of his audios, even read a couple of his books, and he's had a huge impact on me, so I just look at myself as doing the same for others, right? And that just want to share with you all what I've learned, and hope that it helps you, because it's worked for me, it's helped me. And it's just different strategies that you do not hear. You don't hear on mainstream media. I'm not saying I've seen every corner of social media, because I certainly haven't, but I don't seem to see it on social media. And you're definitely not going to learn it in the classroom, right? So these are just some life strategies, some life tools, if you will, that you can utilize to your advantage, that will put you above the rest, right? Or that puts you a notch above average, right? And if you're watching this channel, you're certainly not looking to be average, right? So we share with you as I go about my journey, and as I learn and as I grow, and based on some of the success I've already accomplished. Hey, here's how you can better yourself, better your position in life, right? Because that's really what it's all about, right? And in all areas too, not just simply finance, right? But in all areas of your life. Well, all right, guys. Again, I want to wish you a happy Easter. Already discussed the difference between Easter and Jesus dying and rising again, right? But if you believe that, then just want to wish you a happy Easter, for your celebration. Thankful. And if you don't know, or you have zero clue what I'm talking about, other than that Easter is a holiday that you don't have to work, then I would encourage you, if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, then I would say get to know him. I hesitate to say go to your local church, because nowadays there's a lot of churches that are not what they should be, and doesn't seem like the lead pastor who should be leading them the right way is So I would say the best recommendation I would have would be to get a Bible. Get a Bible, a King James version, a New International Version, NIV version. Get a American Standard Bible. Any of those versions will work. New King James, right? Even the English Standard Version. But I would recommend probably starting off in the books or the chapters of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? So those are 4 book titles or chapter titles in the Bible. And that will tell you the story of Jesus Christ from 4 different men who walked this earth with Jesus when he was alive. They were called disciples. He had 12 of them. And they would tell you the story from their perspective, what they witnessed and some of the miracles he performed. And in all of those, Jesus dies and rises again. And that will give you that story. And if you so choose, I don't know where you are spiritually, but if you're a doubter, there's tons of non-biblical research and literature that proves that Jesus did actually live, walk this earth, died, and rose again. There's certainly many atheists, meaning essentially people that do not believe God exists, that have done their research to prove the non-existence of God and Jesus, and that have subsequently converted to believers upon the completion of their research. So there's tons of books out there you can read and study. So again, if you don't know, I encourage you to look. I encourage you to search. Because people love to say, hey, well, how do you know this is right, that's wrong? I go, well, if you've read the Bible, you know it's 100% true. But I would also tell people that, hey, just from a non-biblical perspective, if I'm wrong about Jesus Christ, I assure you that I didn't miss anything in life, right? But if you are wrong about Jesus Christ and you die and go to hell, then for eternity, you suffer because you were wrong, right? But if I'm wrong, then, hey, there's no suffering, right? Then we just vanished or disappeared, right? So I encourage people to do their own research. God does not force himself on anyone. He allows us to believe in him or not believe in him. That's our option. But I just encourage you to take a look. And I will tell you, my personal experience is that everything I've read about the Bible, let me rephrase it, everything I've read in the Bible has been 100% true. The condition of mankind, the ways of human beings, our nature, and the way God works, you see it time and time and time and time again, the way we treat each other, the way we mistreat each other. And the Bible tells us about the very nature of how humans operate and why that is. And just me personally, you hear people say, that, God is restrictive or things are not really realistic. But what I've found from my reading and from my understanding is just that it's protection. The rules or the laws, if you will, or the guidance are there for your protection. I liken it to a parent not allowing their kid to touch a hot stove, right? Or to not play with a knife, or to see them, trying to grab a pair of scissors off the counter and rushing to smack the child's hand and grab that scissor. And it's not because you don't want that child or your child to have fun. It's because you're doing that for their protection, for their safety, right? And so I found the Bible, a lot of the rules and regulations, if you will, that are in there is for the same reasons, for your safety, for your protection. And you can look into society, and it doesn't take a genius to see that when you go against those things, the fallout of it does not work, right? And that we can go down a rabbit hole from sex, murder, crime, and so on and so forth. You can see that when people don't treat each other right, or are dishonest with one another, or mistreat each other, then you can certainly see the ramifications of that, right? So anyways, didn't mean to go on that rant, but again, just wanted to share that because of, hey, where we are in time. And like I said, Sunday is that holiday that we celebrate that. So, all right, guys, until next week, appreciate you listening to these videos. Ask that you subscribe, hit that like button. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to hear more about, any questions you may have, concerns, or maybe even something that you disagree with. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, take care.